First of all, you don't know me.
We're all about that high school drama girl, all about them high school queens. We'll take you for a ride in our comic girl, cheering for the right team. Drama queens, smart girl, rough girl, fashion but you're tough girl. You could sit with us, girl. Drama queens, drama queens, drama queens, drama queens, drama queens.
We got our new outfits on. It's a new day.
It's a new day.
And we're here for a new episode. How you doing, Soph?
Hi, Snack Attack. I just came up with it in real time.
That's got to be the name of our show.
Yes. You and I, we are going to have a food show at some point. I am manifesting it. But I do think on days like today, when one of the three hosts is traveling, this week it's obviously Joy, and it's me and you, it's DQ Snack Attack.
Dude.
Yeah.
From your lips to God's ears.
You know? Hopefully some like good reality show people listen to this, because like I don't want to be on a reality show like a Housewives or a Love Island, but a docu show about food. Give it to me. I mean,
Mark Brunette, who obviously listens to this show, clearly.
Super fan.
Hit us up. Super fan. Oh man, how you doing?
I'm good, buddy. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Good.
This was a fun episode, man.
Yeah. I was just going to say, I'm really excited to do this episode with you in particular as a dad. Because this whole thing centering around Jamie's Little League game and that essentially being the theme of the episode with his voiceover and, you know, the classic baseball tale. The whole time I was watching this to prep for today, I was like, oh my God, I just can't wait to talk to Rob about Little League.
Oh, it was very little of this show I remember shooting. I remember a lot of this one because this was so much fun. Yeah, I remember. Aww. Well, because also selfishly, I really enjoy the company of James and Austin.
Yeah.
And especially Austin. We very rarely got to do anything together. So this was like an entire day with the three of us just palling around, you know, and doing light, silly material. So it wasn't like we had to be like dropped into a moment. It was like, no, we're just going to goof around all day on and off camera.
You know what? That reminds me though, I got such a good hit of that last week. And we spent so long reminiscing with Jana. It's making me realize in real time that we didn't talk about the opening of 819, which was you and Austin in the car.
Was that 819?
Yeah, having this conversation. You guys are in the Stingray venting about Kellerman and talking about drunk driving and how could a teacher do this, an ethics professor, you know, no less, and da-da-da-da. Like, and so going through that whole journey together in the last episode, knowing that he resigned, took responsibility, all the foreshadowing for this one that we're going to talk about. When that scene came up in the beginning, I was like, God, I love seeing these two together. And I love, you know, Julian's processing this horrible thing he witnessed, and you're talking to him much further on the other side of a horrible thing, of almost losing, you know, your person and having obviously lost your late wife. And so, I don't know, it was really powerful to me in the episode last week. And then to your point, seeing you guys have this really sweet, like joyful sort of dad adjacent uncle experience together. It was really nice.
And also shout out to Nathan for playing Nancy Drew and figuring the whole thing out.
Yes. Oh my God.
He did it last episode. And then I think the whole Kellerman story was handled really well.
I do too.
The misdirect really worked.
Particularly well done.
Especially last week, watching 819, knowing I remembered how it, you know, what really happened. And even still, I was watching going like, oh, it's really good. Because there's one point where Ian is yelling at his dad at the baseball field. I think it's in 819. And the dad's like, I gave up my career. Like I gave up my career. And Ian goes, well, you shouldn't have done it. And I went back and watched it because I'm like, ooh, wait a second, this doesn't track because actually Ian did it. And I'm like, oh no, he's saying in this context, you shouldn't have given up your career. But it really makes it seem like he's hammering his dad like you shouldn't have been drinking and driving.
Yes, it was really smart.
This episode I thought was, well, first of all, what episode, Rob? Great question, me. Season 8, episode 20, The Man Who Sailed Around His Soul, air date May 3rd, 2011. Synopsis reads, as Nathan, Julian, and Clay coach Jamie's first Little League game, the situation regarding the accident comes to a head. Meanwhile, Chase asks Alex to take a drug test for him, and Quinn gets an offer to shoot in Puerto Rico. It's directed by Greg Prange.
Sweet Greg Prange. He crushes, man. He crushes as a director. He always managed to give us these episodes that were so filled with motion and emotion and nostalgia and sweetness. And I wish we could ask him what it was like being at this stage with these characters, you know, as a dad, directing like these kids who essentially used to have to film being little punks, like growing into parents. I wonder if that was cool for him.
He did great with this episode. And this was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
There was a little bit of whiplash just because we had so many flashbacks.
Yeah.
That by the time, like by 3/4 way through the episode, every time they went into a medium shot of somebody, I was like, okay, here comes the flashback. Where are we going with Chase on this one?
Yeah.
So there was a lot of that, but dude, the storytelling worked, and we packed so much into it. And just the runner of Jamie's voiceover telling the story of the mighty Casey was so good. And just all of it, like opening with the national anthem, and then we pan down to see it's Madison playing it on her keyboard.
But by the way, playing it on her keyboard in the middle of the baseball field with the keyboard set to sound like an organ, like an old-timey organ. I loved it. It was so good. I was like, what 6-year-old is choosing this? But it was perfect.
Yeah. That was so much fun. You go. What are give me some of your thoughts, your standouts.
Oh man, you know, I just thought they did a really great job with all of this emotion in these episodes. And one of the things I really like, because we've talked a lot about how sometimes horrible things happen to our characters and then they just, you know, we jump a month and we never speak of them again. Nobody processes anything. And, you know, this was obviously prior to you joining us for your seasons, but back in the day, Nathan went through like horrible thing after horrible thing after horrible thing, you know, crashed a car at full speed, like a race car on a NASCAR track, and never was sent to therapy. And so I really am loving seeing Julian in this space of his safe male friendships with Clay and Nathan, talking about how horrible this was. Talking about what he had to see, what it was like to watch Brooke's lungs fill with water, to be so angry at what happened to them, at almost losing Jamie, at almost losing her. Like, to see a man processing fear and suffering, and it's all bubbling up now. I love it. And I love seeing him alone at night watching this footage.
Oh, it was heartbreaking.
Oh my God, it's so sad. And to recall, like from Thanksgiving, you know, that he's just been shooting everything. He shoots everything all the time, even if we don't see it. And when he deletes that footage, it's like, no, but also, yeah, you're never going to want to watch that.
Yeah, it's like if you knew the end of this episode, Julian, you wouldn't delete it. But the name of self-preservation, like you got to get rid of that. But that device worked so well. That was absolutely heartbreaking. That whole, I had no idea you got pregnant, buddy.
Yeah, man.
I just assumed you guys found someone else to adopt. Or there was a surrogacy. And so when the ending comes, to jump ahead, that twist got me.
Yeah.
I was so happy, but so surprised by that.
Yeah, I know. It was such a big deal. And I love the roundabout way we get there. You know, that Chase had a thing with Kid Cudi and then needed a favor from Alex, but then it turns out Quinn screws up Alex's ability to do the favor, so she goes to Julian, but Julian's not home, and so it's Brooke. It's like it's sort of a comedy of errors, and then it has this like really happy ending that's so sweet.
It's like a classic heist movie. It's like in Ocean's 11 where they're like, but wait, how did the money end up in the bag and not in the
Yes.
box? And then they like flash back to like 4 different things that took place. That was this episode. And
Yeah.
there were so many hurdles to get to Brooke being pregnant, that it was Brooke's peaks. I was like, wait, first of all, the staging of Chase, just like he and Alex are obviously like back on. So they're clearly like
Yes.
spending a lot of time together, which is great, by the way. I'm
Yes.
a huge Chase and Alex fan.
Same. I ship those two.
It just made me laugh that it looked like a clandestine like spy, like an information drop. He's at an
Yes.
airfield standing outside of his car. She pulls up in her car and is like, "What's up?" I'm like, why wouldn't you guys meet at one of your places?
Yeah. Also, well, here's what I thought, because it felt like a misdirect to me because Chase was late for the Little League game. And
Mhm.
obviously Chuck was so sad. And Chuck had been at Trick hanging out. And then Alex was there. And in my brain, I was like, oh, is Chase waiting on Chuck's dad? Like, is he at the airport because he's supposed to pick this guy up because he's finally convinced him to come back to town? And then he doesn't show up and he goes to the game. But I was like, wait, what? Why did you didn't just come down from a flying lesson?
Yeah.
Why is she meeting you? Like, realizing that it had nothing to do with Chuck at all made the airport feel so weird to me.
Yeah. It was like someone had just watched Top Gun and was like, we need a shot at an airfield at dusk.
Or, you know, someone in the writer's room was like, it's been 7 episodes since we mentioned Chase's pilot license and we really need to remind people. Like, what? It was such a strange choice.
Yeah. Like if you're Alex getting a text being like, meet me at the airfield ASAP, you'd be like, he's either going to murder me and hide my body or he's dumping me.
Or maybe proposing to me, because why else are you taking a girl? Like it's such an extreme place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's like I am either going to become a fiance or the subject of a Dateline episode.
Oh my God.
These are the only
100%.
two scenarios.
Yeah, I'm about to get thrown out of an airplane without a parachute. It's just so silly.
It's so silly, man.
That's silly, but there were actually some moments of genuine properly connected levity that I loved. You know, obviously the mystery of the Kellerman family is big. And we're in this sad moment that we were just talking about with Julian watching this precious footage. And it's so heartbreaking. And then Nathan storms in and goes, is this yours? And takes a swig of his whiskey. And it's ginger ale.
Perfect. Yeah. It's good for my tummy.
It settles the stomach.
Yeah.
Like it was so funny to me. And I actually realized in that moment, I go, see, this is the kind of dynamic that isn't, it's not like a caricature of people. This is a funny dynamic where Nathan wants a whiskey and Julian wants a ginger ale. Like that's a hilarious character note.
Mm-hmm.
And I just loved the moment. And then he's just like, goes and pours himself a drink and is explaining his Nancy Drew aha
Mm-hmm.
of who it was and how he knows. And it's, you know, fiddlesticks. What's it called? I've forgotten already.
Fidians.
Yeah. The bourbon.
Did it seem odd to you that while he is explaining and very fired up about a drinking and driving incident, he's driving to his friends' houses and immediately starts drinking?
Yes. In my brain, I was like, maybe we need to clarify that Nathan and Haley and Brooke and Julian live very close to each other because they all live on the water. So I'm like, maybe he walked over. Maybe he rode his bike. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a small thing, but I found myself going like, the outrage that everyone's feeling right now is around the very thing you are preparing to do, sir.
Yes. Absolutely terrible choice.
There was one other staging moment in this episode that cracked me up. It was at Kellerman, Ian Kellerman's scout.
Yes.
He's throwing pitches and all of the scouts are flanked out around him in a straight line on the baseball field. They're not like sitting in the stands.
It's so weird.
There is just, I don't know if it's because like maybe it was like they were short on time that day and they were like, how do we just get this in kind of like a oneer with light coverage? How do we not turn around? Okay, put them all standing next to him.
There.
because that is absolutely not how that would go.
No.
I want to get a good look at this kid. I'm going to stand behind him. What? No.
The whole thing was very strange to me because, and I'm realizing I've obviously never been to an athletic scout, but every portrayal of one I've ever seen, the scouts are in the stands.
Yeah.
And I assume that's for a reason because it's probably where the scouts go.
Yeah. I've only ever seen scouts in the stands. So that to have them sitting, like to be on the baseball diamond with him. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
all right, sure.
Yeah. I was like, what is happening here?
I had a bit of surprising positivity for this episode coming from me is this was my favorite version of the theme song in a long time. I actually listened to the whole thing.
Wait.
It's like a punk pop version, and it was delightful. It was different enough that I was like, oh, I can get on board for this. Yeah, great.
I was running a little late today and I was like, don't have time for the recap. And I skipped it.
Oh, well, if you go back and watch it, it's a
Okay.
fun, like punk, like pop punk though.
Wait,
rendition.
who does it? Can our producer fairies tell us who
Yeah.
sings the
Let us
theme
know.
song in this episode?
Because I Like You, I normally hear, well, I Like You in this episode today. I usually hear like the first two bars. I'm like,
And
I'm good.
Like, I'm good.
Yep. I skip right over it. This time I was like, ooh, though. Okay.
Oh, okay.
I can listen to you. Against Me. It's the name
Who
of the
is
band who did it.
that?
Well done, Against Me. You
Okay.
made me fall back in love with the theme song.
Oh, I love that. Now I want to go stream their music.
One thing that this episode did, I mean, like I said, it's so much fun, and the whole Kellerman storyline, I just thought was executed so well. And shout out to Peter Riegert. I don't know how you pronounce his last name,
Yeah.
because we really got to see that Kellerman was a layered guy. Because
Yeah.
he was doing it great, but Kellerman was one note up until
Mhm.
pretty much this episode.
Mhm.
And then, boy, we got to see a lot of layers happening there. And the stuff between he and Nathan was
Oh.
awesome.
Yeah, when he shifts from being Nathan's antagonist to all their scenes together being two dads, sort of talking across the age divide of their sons, it's really beautiful. And in a weird way, it felt to me as a viewer like Kellerman finally became the teacher that Nathan deserved.
Mm-hmm.
You know, talking about life and loss and whether it's right or wrong, what you'll sacrifice for your children and you know, all of these things that were really gorgeous. And they're both very still actors who say a lot when they're not talking, even when they're not talking, I should say. And I really enjoyed watching them just be together and observe each other and realize that there was so much more to the man they were speaking to than they'd seen before.
Mm-hmm.
It was really nice.
Well, and they did a very, very clever thing where there was a scene on the boat at the end with the two of them, with Nathan and August Kellerman. And there's a great exchange where it's sort of both of them like acknowledging their own misstep and like kind of making a repair. But Kellerman basically goes, I apologize. I saw you and I thought you were my son. And Nathan goes, yeah, and I thought you were my dad.
Mm.
And it was such a valuable payoff because it's so easy to go like, oh, they just wrote the jerk professor. And it's like, it's a trope, it's lazy. But then you see like, no, there was actually thought put into it.
Yes. Yes. And you realize what each of these men was triggered by and why they couldn't really even make space for each other as new people, because they remind each other of the people that have really let them down and hurt them. And it was so cool. And I just loved getting to learn a little bit about time from Professor Kellerman, because even though we don't have to talk about it, they don't talk about it. Nathan has, by the happenstance of his life, made a lot of time for his family. And here's this man saying, I had this plan with my wife and I just never took the time, and now she's gone. So I'm going to go do this thing for the both of us. And Nathan didn't need to say anything, right? Like, but you could see the generational divide between, granted they're different, but men like Dan Scott and August Kellerman and a man like Nathan Scott.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I just thought it was like a very powerful device.
Did you notice, or did it bother you, that Kellerman has a igloo cooler on his boat full of beer and water when he's made a point of saying he hasn't had a drink since his wife died, and he is literally about to take off on the ocean on a boat by himself?
Yeah.
Like,
I really think that was, it must have just been a screw up on the prop department's part. Like, they're so used to, characters going to the boat, so we pack the cooler with the drinks and the waters and the things. And I just think nobody was paying attention. Or maybe it was non-alcoholic beer and we just never got a close-up to see. But either way, just don't have it in the shot.
yeah. Or just have him hand Nathan a bottle of water. They're already in there. It was odd to me because we went out of our way to establish that he has not had a drop of alcohol since his wife passed. And then he's like, oh, hey, you showed up. I was about to leave with this cooler of beers and sail to the middle of the ocean.
So
it's like,
stupid.
Really?
Like, what are we doing?
But back to Peter Riegert, to his credit, like, he did such a good job, because I actually found myself feeling very sorry for August Kellerman.
Me too.
That, like, he clearly liked what he did and he forfeited it for his son. But up to an episode ago, he was just such a jerk, you know? But, like, to his credit as an actor, he was able to layer in enough stuff that by the time this came and the truth came out, it was like, no, buddy. Oh, you're falling on the sword for the wrong guy, but you're a good guy, so you're doing it.
Okay, falling on the sword for the wrong guy is my perfect segue to how much I love Clay, Julian, and Nathan as a trio, taking this kid out to that bridge and just wailing on him. You knocking him into the water, I was like, yes, Rob. And then Austin is like trying to drown him. And then you think Nathan's going to be the one, like, calm guy, and he gives him a hand and then freaking punches him right in the face. Like, I loved it. I loved how real it felt. It was a little awkward because, you know, what fights are ever choreographed like they are in action movies? And I don't know. I just loved it. I was like, these are three dudes I would trust with my life. Hell yes.
And first of all, you got to love Dum Dum Kellerman. He's in the car with the three of us. The vibe is so clearly off. And Julian starts like, good day for a drive. Like, it's so obvious that, like, he is in a bad way, and he's just like, so where are we going? It's like, dude, you're in big trouble. But I loved it when after the scene when Julian tackles him back into the water, immediately I felt like I was watching the male version of the James sisters fighting in the pool. Like, the fight almost came out of the water, and he was like, no, we're all staying in the water. Yeah. And I loved the punch by Nathan. So a peek behind the curtains, when we were getting ready to shoot this scene, like, the safety coordinator came over and was like, hey, so here's the deal. No. Like, are you up to date on your shots and stuff? I was like, what? And they're like, don't worry. We're checking the fecal contaminant level in that river. It's just getting very close to, like, the threshold. So when you go into the water, just try not to get it, like, in your eyes, or definitely don't get it in your mouth. You've seen that scene. I'm supposed to be screaming, like, what? So it was like Poop River.
Because we're in farm country.
Yeah, it was gross. I just remember the whole time, I was like, I wasn't even thinking about the scene. I was like, don't swallow the poop. Don't swallow the poop.
Oh my God. No.
It was terrible. Because, like, that, dude, you get sick if that happens. So yeah, we were all putting and then of course, like, then Austin is diving back in it and flashing around. And Ian, Eric had to be like dunked in it. So it was not ideal for what the scene was going to be, but ew.
This is the thing. I have to just say, there is this like stereotype that actors are little snowflake divas, so sensitive, get so taken care of. And I'm like, no, we're the ones who get thrown in the shit water. And people are like, just watch your mouth because, you know, you could get MRSA and maybe die, but we got to get the shot. Like, what?
Yeah. Or when it's 20 degrees outside and they're like, we're going to cover you in fake blood and water. Just lay on the ground and don't breathe.
Don't breathe. And you're like,
for 8 hours. And you're like, oh, cool. That's it. Great. I'll keep my hypothermia to myself.
Wow. I literally wrote down, I go, the three boys look dope walking away together. I love this. And now I'm like, blah. I'm so sorry you had to do that.
Yeah. That was one on the page when I read it. I was like, this is awesome. Because I'm getting to like do a scene with my two buddies. It's redemption. It's justice. And then I heard about the poop water and was like, ooh.
Oh, man.
Now this is just a like, let's
yucky.
not get super sick and get out of here kind of day.
Oh, it's so yucky. Oh, I have something that clearly auto-corrected and it's one line in my notes and it says sugar is soaking. And I'm like, it just threw me so out because it's right after you guys walking away. And I'm like, wait, what? Like, what words was I trying to type that auto-corrected to those words? I can't even.
Were you watching like a baking show in the background?
I didn't think so. But it's in between you guys walking away and the note about Kellerman and Snipey Plover. So it's got to be something on his boat.
I don't know.
Well, what I will say, it's an interesting cut to see these three guys being so wonderful and standing up in the way that they can and trying to teach this little dipshit a lesson. And I like that the next time we see Professor Kellerman, it's him and Nathan and he's, getting the boat ready. Obviously, prop fiasco fail aside. I love that his sort of last moment on the way out of town is to go, Snipey Plover.
Yes.
It's a bird.
He's a hero.
Yes. Yes. And he
Totally
gets to have the dad moment that he deserves with the kind of son that he deserves.
Yeah.
Someone he can actually pass a baton to and help out. And I just love that so much.
Yeah, he really, I forgot, but yeah, he totally becomes a hero.
Yeah.
That's right, man. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I forgot that he was the one who gave Nathan that. Yeah, that was a great button because I had forgotten how that whole condo thing gets resolved, but now I'm starting to remember where that goes. Changing gears, Quinn.
Yes, that's where I was going to go.
Okay.
The sentence I was starting was, I got to give props to Chantel because she's clearly in this like, her and the writers, obviously it takes two to tango, but like they're clearly in this sort of season for Quinn of letting her lean into her quirkiness and her goofiness. And in the last episode, she goes so hard in the paint with Jana. And then the freaking spray tan, I was like, oh my God, girl. Like, she was such a good sport about it. I loved seeing Joni Shea being the woman at the spray tan salon. So for our friends at home, Joni, sweet dear Joni, is our hairdresser on the show. And to have her be like, I don't think you want that one. In her sweet little like maternal voice. I loved it. It's such an Easter egg for us and for our crew. But oh my God, you not seeing her at the game over and over again and everyone else seeing her and being like, dude, it's such a funny device.
Yeah. That whole gag was great. I did have a note going like, he's standing 10 feet away from her and she is enthusiastically shouting throughout the whole game.
Yeah.
There is no world in which you do not recognize your partner's shout.
Yeah.
you know, but I don't care. That was just
but
a
for the
nitpicky
comedy
thing.
of it.
Completely.
Yeah.
In the moment, I love that we get to see everyone's reaction before Clay's.
Yes.
And I gotta say, I thought the moment when I see her, when she comes up and whispers in my ear and I turn around, it's not often I watch something I do and I go,
Crushed.
that was awesome. But that moment when I see her and I turn back and that I thought was so freaking funny.
Yeah. You guys were so funny. Just
Dude.
the whole thread of it. I also, Rob, I got to give you similar props. When you're outside in the top of the episode working out and she tells you she booked a job in Puerto Rico and you're like, can't go. And then she says supermodels and you're like, I'll totally go. Can't wait. It's going to be great. It was such a perfect comedic bit for you. And I laughed out loud.
Ooh, that's a win.
I did. It's always like, yeah, when you laugh out loud and you're alone in your house, you're like, oh, this was really good, huh?
This episode had so much fun in it. I thought,
Yeah.
At first I was confused. I was like, why is Clay, really feels like Clay is rushing this game. Like, what's his deal? And then it's the flashback to Quinn being like, you're going to get laid tonight. And then I thought it's the funniest thing in the world watching this guy yell at 9-year-olds to speed it up.
Be like, come on, kids, hustle up.
Three up, three down. Let's go. Yeah. That was so good. And also kudos to Chantel because she was in a bikini in this episode far more than she needed to be.
Yeah.
You know, which is unfortunately just something our show did. But I feel like lately in these episodes, she has been bearing the brunt of it. And it also made me laugh because in the scene back at their house, she is in a bikini and she has her phone and she's like telling Clay, like, you should get home tonight because this is what's waiting for. And she takes a picture of her, like, it's like a selfie of the, like her body in the bikini. And I'm just laughing going like, they see each other naked all the time. Like that picture, like there's nothing like.
Yeah, they're not in a long distance relationship.
Yeah.
Like what?
Yeah. Like they probably had sex this morning. And she's like, but also here's a picture of me kind of clothed. It's like, yeah, he saw it all this morning. He's going to see it again tonight. Like that's, you've already done it.
Like what? It is really, really goofy, but it is one of those things that you realize because the audience doesn't see what happens off camera. These devices get created in these scenes. But I mean, poor sweet Chantel, you know, they couldn't put me in my underwear because I'm depressed because I've just, you know, lost a baby. Mm-hmm. And they certainly can't do it to Joy. She's literally just had a baby, like IRL. So I feel like Quinn got every single thing that usually gets split up among the girls. And she had to be such a champ in this episode. And I really appreciate her choice to play the spray tan. Like, it's so great. Yeah. Like, she's just so oblivious. And the you two getting in the hot tub at the end of the night and the dye just seeping everywhere. And you don't miss a beat. And you go, if we dunk you, we can make tea.
Yeah.
Killed me because you deadpanned it. And it was so funny.
Oh, yeah. That whole bit. I mean, there's no vanity in comedy, and she knows it, and she just goes for Brooke, man. All of her stuff. She's never holding back to try to save face. And I mean, the Panther is no exception, man. That whole bit was so good. And just we're outside, we're at a park, it's kids playing baseball. There was like no fat on this episode. It was like every second was used for a piece of storytelling. You know,
totally.
There was no filler.
No, and everything was charming or funny or really heartfelt. Like the fact that the Little League game and the lead up to Puerto Rico and the tanning joke is in the same episode that Nathan is solving a mystery with Clay and Julian about Kellerman. You're like, how's that going to work? And it works. Mm-hmm. It works really, really well. And what I will say, I really appreciate in terms of the arcs of all these characters, I really like that despite how sad Brooke and Julian are, that they gave Brooke and Haley a moment of humor about it. And it's not gallows humor. It's not that dark. But even the fact that we believe at this point that Brooke and Julian are going to take this opportunity. They're going to go to New York. You know, Close Over Bros has essentially been her baby, and they're going to sort of reconstitute their life plans. And so Brooke wants to take this sign to Haley from Karen's, you know, this moment of the childhood she's going to leave behind, but cracks a joke like, I'm going to give you the last remnants of Karen's Cafe for Lydia. Straight up. And it's like, they play a bit about the saddest thing that's just happened to Brooke. But like, that's best friendship, is laughing with each other through your sadness.
Okay, but help me understand this, because we haven't ever seen them on camera talking about it, have we? I was confused because when I saw that happening,
I was confused too.
I went, oh, she still hasn't, which is fair. She's letting Haley like have her experience of being a new mom and not making it about her. But to me, that was a joke, but like Haley wasn't really in on the subtext.
So the way that I made sense of that is because Julian has told Nathan and Clay. And then obviously that night at the hospital, Nathan's the one who goes, Brooke, are you okay? And I say, like, I'm just so happy for you guys. My assumption is that the next day, again, off-camera stuff, but I'm assuming that Nathan is like, hey, what's the deal with the baby? And Julian's like, oh, we didn't want to tell you. Same night, like the woman reneged. She backed out. So I have to assume now that 3 episodes later, Haley does know. And they're all trying to like make the best of it. Because there's no way Nathan's not going to tell Haley, like, hey, FYI, this happened. Yeah. You know, I want you to be able to take care of your friend.
It just feels like a big scene we should have seen on camera. A big moment.
Fully agree.
Yeah.
Fully agree. And it's one of those things that's missing, right? It's like, that's a big scene we should have seen on camera at the end of this episode when we do the big reveal, and that it was Alex and Brooke who did the swap. And you know, Alex, the person who betrayed Brooke so much, especially like using this fertility journey against her, winds up being the person that like gets to have this surprise with her. What I would have given to see Brooke and Alex have that.
That would have been great, man.
Right? Which is actually a perfect moment to say, we knew this was coming. And obviously we had Jana on the show last week and she couldn't be with us this week. So we did do a little cheat ski and ask her to skip ahead and talk to us about that scene. So can our lovely producers plug Jana's audio in for us for a second? Jana, I am dying to know, with the whole pee test, drug test, Kid Cudi, Quinn, Pot Brownie, Brooke, Julian thing, did you know in 819 when you were doing the drug test storyline what was coming?
I had no idea anything until I got the script. I knew nothing.
Wow.
Nada.
When you were reading it at first, and it seems like it's Alex is the one who's pregnant.
Yes.
What was your reaction?
Again, I just feel like it's like reading, you know, you want to know what happens, right? You want to get to the end of the book and figure it out. I knew in my gut it wasn't me. And knowing what the storyline with Brooke has been, it would make sense because of the loss, you know, because of the struggle and all of that. So
yeah,
I wanted and hoped that it was her.
What I really loved and what I wish they'd let us have is that because we were doing flashbacks to certain things in these episodes, and maybe after all the car crash flashbacks in 819, they didn't want to do flashbacks in 820, but I wish we could have cut to you coming to the house and us doing this thing together, because the crux of this fertility journey for her was punctuated by, you know, Brooke's feeling of betrayal that Julian told Alex. And I loved at the end that it was actually Alex who helps Brooke figure it out. Like, I loved that for our characters. And I don't know, it really, like, it made me feel kind of emo. And I wish we'd like gotten a flashback moment of being in the bathroom, like peeing in a cup together.
Because that would have really just solidified our bond too.
Yeah.
as, the characters and stuff. So I agree with you. That's a miss on their part for sure.
Yeah, I would have liked that. But oh my gosh, did you flip to the end of the episode to figure it out? Or were you just like, wait, what? Every page you turned?
No, I'm always a read the last page. It's really bad. It's a really terrible trait. Like, it's really bad. When I was watching Bridgerton, the first season, I had to know if they got together. So I watched the first and the last episode. I had to do it. I'm terrible. It's awful. It's a really bad quality of mine.
Can you still enjoy the middle?
Absolutely. I enjoy it and I soak it in knowing that everything's going to be okay.
And if
I'm so afraid of the bottom falling out all the time that I just want to like make sure everything's going to be fine. And then I can just enjoy then and not have that like stress.
I actually think that's genius. It's like the reason everyone during the pandemic started watching comfort shows is because no one wanted to be surprised. Yeah. So you're figuring out how to watch new shows, but make them feel comforting. And I love that.
But here's a question. If, like, I don't know how Bridgerton goes, right? But let's say you watch the first, you're like, well, shit, now I got to watch the last. And you watch the last and the couple you're rooting for are not together. Do you bail on the series or can you still watch it, but you just like adjust your expectations?
I'd probably bail.
Okay.
Yeah. I like it.
Did you oh my God, it would have been hilarious if you watched the first episode of Game of Thrones and you were like, this is my show. And then you jump to the last one and you see Jon Snow killing her, spoiler alert. And you're like, well, this show.
Honestly, I watched one episode and I was like, I don't understand anything and I'm not into dragons or whatever this stuff is. So I'm out.
Okay, I'm going to confess. I've literally never seen an episode.
I'm not going to be one of those people who gasps,
I love it.
you know? Good. I'm sure you were using your time for something great.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I was like one and done.
Yeah.
So.
But by the time it got to the end and everyone was so into it, I remember one of my friends and I were like, well, maybe we should start. And we tried and I was like, I don't care. I just don't care.
I did that with Yellowstone. I just binged the entire thing at the very end. I did the same thing with Ted Lasso. Everyone was like, we love Ted Lasso. I like to watch things after the craze of things.
Yeah.
But I loved both of those.
Those are good shows.
I will say I've been spoiled by binging. We watched Survivor here, and so we saw that there was a new season, not realizing it hadn't wrapped yet. And so we get like 3/4 of the way through, and then all of a sudden I have to wait a week for a new episode. And I'm like, what kind of BS is this?
Yeah,
like,
it's bad.
What
it's terrible.
Fresh hell is
and I
this?
can't laugh because we're a Love is Blind house. So there we go.
It's good. I like the UK the best. Oh my God, I love it. I love it.
Oh man, that was such a fun ride. I had no idea where it was going. I was surprised. Like, it's in my notes, all caps. Oh, that was Alex's pee. Next one. Wait, whose pee was it? Next one, all caps. No way, Brooke is pregnant. Yeah.
Oh,
I loved the ride.
I did too. And the irony is, when this whole drug testing thing was happening, I forgot that that's how we found out. I was like, what is this all about?
Also, that we laid no groundwork for the whole drug test. That we only learned about that when Chase referenced it to Alex, right? Or did I miss something?
Well, he asks her to help him. He asks her questions about it. So it's their runner through the episode.
Oh, that's right.
You know, because she's like, no, I know all about it. Obviously, she has to do all these things because she went to rehab. It's how she gets insured as an actor, all the whatever. But when he is like, I needed to do the drug test to apply to the Air Force, I was like, wait, what? Chase is going to the Air Force? It threw me for such a loop that I literally forgot that it was this sort of cartwheeling whose pee is it story by the end. I was so in their storyline that I forgot I had anything to do with it.
Yeah, it was great. Like, and the Mighty Casey voiceover with a twist and Jamie actually getting the hit. All of that was great. Dude, speaking of Jamie and hits, how savage is he to Chuck in the dugout when Chuck goes, you hit like my mom. And he says, oh, really? Let's go ask her. Oh, that's right. She's not here.
That was gnarly.
Way to sweep the leg, kid. Jeez Louise.
Yeah.
Poor Chuck.
I did make a note, though, that, and this is that sad thing where you wish the adults were within earshot, because Chuck is being mean to Jamie and Jamie's sick of it. So Jamie then hits back at Chuck. but it's so below the belt. And you're like, oh, this would be such a teaching moment for the like wonderful men on our show to go, hey, we don't do that. We don't treat our teammates that way. We don't treat our friends that way. Like there could have been such a moment to model, apologies. And it's just the most below the belt insult from another 6-year-old you've ever heard in your life.
So disproportionate. It'd be like if someone went, oh yeah, well, you've got something in your teeth. And then you went, yeah, well, your eyes are too close together and it makes you look inbred and everyone laughs about it. It's like,
what?
How are those two on the same level?
Yeah,
I
just
can't
not
fix that.
That's not it, man. That is not it. One of the things that I noticed in this that I hadn't at the time, because obviously I wasn't in the scenes where you guys are coaching, but part of me was like, oh, I wonder if it was intentional for Carol in wardrobe to have Brooke show up at the Little League field in a dress the same color as the team's hats. Mm-hmm. I was like, oh, it would have been cute if Julian had the hat on and, she'd taken it off of him or something. But like I show up in team colors.
Well, and also that scene to me felt like we were running out of time and we weren't going to make it back to the studio to get to your guys' house. And so they were just like, let's just shoot it on the field. Cause it's odd, right? There's nothing happening. Julian is just standing on a field. We don't know what time it is. Like there's no sounds of game happening. He's just randomly standing in a field. And then you just walk. To me, it felt like a dream sequence. Like you walk up in a flowy dress.
Yeah, it was a little dreamy. And I think that's what they wanted. I think they wanted the romance of it. I remember asking Greg, our director, can you just give me what's happening here? Obviously, she's gotten the news. She wants to get dressed up. She wants to have this sweet moment. And he was like, the way I figure it is they've finished. They've gotten all the kids packed up. Everybody's like just leaving the parking lot. And Julian's taking a minute to himself to just think about it all. Okay. He's just spent a day with all these kids and doesn't think they're ever going to get to have one. Like it's this sort of reflection. And what they wanted and the reason they wrote it that way is because Brooke's talking about playgrounds. Julian's coaching Little League. And Jamie is giving the baseball voiceover. And they really wanted that up and away aerial shot of these two people getting everything they wanted on a kid's playground.
That all makes sense.
Yeah, which is really sweet. But I would have loved to have seen Brooke getting out of her car, shutting the door, waving as like Nathan and Jamie are driving away. Just to know like this happened right at that moment. It would have helped tie it together, and it probably would have, I was about to say it probably would have taken 4 seconds in the edit, but it probably would have taken 4 hours to shoot. And they were like, we're not doing that. That's absolutely exactly right. Not worth the time or money.
All right, we have a listener question. McKenna asks, we have learned that the titles of the episodes are song titles. How were these picked? They were picked by the showrunner, right, Soph?
I think so. I would
the
imagine.
Writer's Room.
Yeah, I would imagine with Lindsay Wolfington's help, because, this is our music supervisor who came on a few weeks ago, and she had, files of songs that she thought would be right for One Tree Hill. So I would imagine there were these files of songs, and then they would look through them and think like, oh, that's a good title. Or this was my favorite song from my college years. I have no idea. I'm spitballing, but
yeah. Well, she goes on to ask, additionally, what song title would you choose to be the title of the chapter of life you all are in now?
Whoa. Oh my gosh. Do you know?
Because of the chaos on a daily basis in my house, DMX is Up in Here came into my head. Y'all gonna make me lose my mind. Up in here, up in here,
I love that for you. I don't know why. It's just a song that's been on repeat a lot in our house. Is a real throwback. It's Wide Open Spaces by the Dixie Chicks.
Ooh.
And everybody sings along to it, and it is a real vibe, especially on drives upstate, whatever. It's like, it's the starter song of the playlist. in moments of joy. So that's it for me.
You got an honorable mention?
Honorable mention in this episode.
Mine is
yeah, you go.
Just seeing Nathan be a rad dad, specifically in that moment where he calls timeout and he goes up to Jamie and he's just like, this is just a game, dude. You're great. Have some fun.
Yes, that scene, him and that whole scene, I absolutely concur. The idea that he had the wherewithal to say, it's just a game.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to get ice cream no matter what. My dad always pressured me. You don't need to feel any pressure.
Yeah.
The fact that he's so honest with this little boy to really make sure he's breaking that curse and he manages to keep it light, A++.
Yep. It was a perfect example of breaking a generational cycle.
Yeah.
Well done, Nathan Scott.
Well done.
Let's spin a wheel and get out of here.
Let's do it, friend. It's the weekend.
We
Let's
got
go.
snacks to eat. Most likely to eat a spider because they were dared.
100% not me.
I mean, me. In real life, me.
You would do that?
Well, especially not now, really, but in high school, yeah, man. Are you kidding me? If it got a laugh, yeah, for sure.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hats off to you, friend. No way. Like, not only would I not do it if you dared me, I wouldn't do it if you paid me.
So you would not have been a good contestant on Fear Factor.
There is not enough money in the world that you could pay me to go on that show. No, absolutely not. Wouldn't do it. No.
All right. You heard it here, folks. Don't ever ask, dare, or even try to bribe Sophia into eating a spider because it's not going to happen.
It's a no for me, dog. The next episode, however, is a yes. Hey,
Season 8.
Segue. We'll be back with Season 8, Episode 21, Flightless Bird, American Mouth.
Thanks for joining us. Bye.
See ya.
Hey, thanks for listening.
Don't forget to leave us a review. You can also follow us on Instagram at Drama Queens OTH.
Or email us at dramaqueens@iheartradio.com. See you next time.
We're all about that high school drama girl, all about them high school queens. We'll take you for a ride in our comic girl, cheering for the right team. Drama queens, smart girl, rough girl, fashion but you're tough girl. You could sit with us, girl. Drama queens, drama queens, drama queens, drama queens, drama queens.